Welcome back to Who Want a Life Sentence. Thank you guys for tapping in. Please like, share, subscribe. Leave your comment at the bottom. I'm going to put the Cash App up. You know what to do. If not, it's all good. Just enjoy the video with your ugly ass. And we're going to jump right into it. The reason why I'm doing this second video entitled Lil Chris is because, well, first of all, you guys didn't watch the first one. It was 7 months ago, and it only got a little over 100 views. I did the video and I was just starting. I feel like I'm a little bit better now. So I like to do my boy a bit better justice. And again, it's never meant to cause any disrespect. He's gone. He had a wife, he has kids. So it's definitely not any disrespect intended. It's just his story, and he's a part of my story, and I still got the utmost respect for Lil Chris, man. Found out a couple of more details, and I wanted to share them with you guys. Most importantly, just keep in mind that I share these stories for you guys to make better decisions, so you don't have to go through some of these things, and you can live a better life. You know, learn from my mistakes, our mistakes. But here we go. So I told y'all when I moved in the dorm, when I moved in the county jail, I was 14 years old. Youngest one there, and everybody there was the next oldest was 16. So we ain't have no 15 years old. So my first morning there, I remember there only being 5 people. And the 5 people were Chris Black, Bit Dookie, me, and Chuck. Those were the 5 people that I immediately met when I come in the dorm. I sat at the table with Chris, and my first meal, when they gave me my tray, I went in. Chris was sitting at the table by himself. I went and sat at that table. I don't know why I chose that table. I wasn't really thinking about it, and I ended up sitting at that table. Now, I want to describe Chris. So Chris always had a chip on his shoulder. Chris had an attitude, and I didn't know why. As we went on and developed a relationship, we could kind of speculate on why he had such a bad attitude, but we didn't know for sure. Chris told me that both of his parents had passed away. I can't remember how. I think it was like a car accident or something. I'm not sure, so can't quote me on that. But I do know that Chris said both of his parents had passed, and he had been raised by his aunt in Stone Mountain. Well, he had been taken in by his aunt in Stone Mountain. His aunt was the mother to Brandon and Brian Casey. Brandon and Brian Casey are 2 of the 4 members of Jagged Edge. It's 4 members in Jagged Edge. Brandon and Brian Casey, Wingo, and I forgot the other nigga name. And ironically, they were like my favorite group at the time. I knew all the songs, especially that Promise song, you know what I mean? So when we found out that was Chris' cousins, it was kind of shocking. But like, Chris wouldn't brag on them. He wouldn't talk about them. Chris really didn't like these niggas. Chris said that they were mean to him. He said that they were really bullies. It used to be amazing because when Chris actually said that they were cousins, first cousins, their mothers were sisters. So when Chris said that they were first cousins, the next time they came on TV, we looking at them, and they face, you can see it in their face. They had the thick eyebrows and the natural mean look. They just Like when they not even looking mean, just naturally just looking at you, it look like mean. They face be balled up kind of in the middle. So you can see the resemblance. Chris didn't like them niggas. He told me that they would take him out in the yard under the basketball goal. He said he said they would take turns. They would stick him under the goal. One of them would run, get ready for an alley hoop. And the other one would bounce the ball off Chris' head. And when the ball jump up, the other brother would jump up and slam it. He said then they reverse it and take turns. The other one would come and run. Then this one bounced the ball off his head and they would slam it. He said they picked on him nonstop, but they were his big cousins. They were older cousins, so he really didn't have no win, and there was two of them. He said he said that they made him feel like that they really didn't want him there. So I've never seen Chris brag on them. He said that they were his cousins, but he's never bragged on them. I've never seen them give him a shout out or anything such of the nature, right? So off the rip, Chris just always had an attitude, seemingly for no reason. People that like him just kind of like him, but most people have had a run in with him for something or another. My first run in with Chris, I can't remember what the attitude was about, but in the day room they had so when we walk in when you come in the day room, they have these. There's no way to describe it. The chairs are plastic. They made really low to the ground, and they look like if you've ever seen the big heavy chairs that's in like a kid's play area. They look like that, but they really, really heavy. Like one of these chairs might weigh around 400 pounds because it's impossible. The whole time I was there, no one ever even attempted to pick up one of these chairs and do anything. You know what I mean? They just way too heavy to be used as a weapon. So, and we got in the day room, we got the TV right here. 4 of the big heavy chairs, they lined up and connected to each other. Then behind that row, you got about 5 chairs, the same heavy chairs connected to each other. Again, it was only at the max, they had about 10 of us in there at one time. But even right now, it was only about 5 or 6 of us. Chris was controlling the TV. He was standing in front of the first set of chairs controlling the TV, and I was standing behind his set of chairs watching the TV. And I think I was just like, I may had my hands on the bottom of the chairs looking at the TV, and Chris was just in a bad mood for whatever reason. So he turned around and was like, shot a bag up on me. So when he did it, I kind of, he did it so rude that, I'm trying to figure out, what the attitude about and, trying to really see what's going, if we playing or what. But he turned around and was like, oh, you ain't gonna back up on me. So he pulled his hand away from the TV and started walking like he was gonna walk around the chairs and come to where I am. Again, now he's 16, I'm 14. We know now that this not a hell of a difference, but when you young and growing up, that is a big difference when you're talking about wrestling or fighting with somebody. You see what I'm saying? He done already been through puberty. When he act like he gonna come around the chairs, I'm looking at him. I back up, and he stopped. He like, oh, like I thought. And he went back to the TV, went to watching the TV. So from this interaction, I don't like Chris, and we gonna be enemies. Yeah, I don't like him. You know what I mean? At this point, I don't feel like I can whoop anybody in here, but I don't like that dude. You know what I'm saying? And the thing about it is, to me, it was like for no reason. I felt like I was a new guy in the dorm. Chris had an attitude. He chose to take it out on me. We actually end up getting a better relationship out on the rec yard. when we go to the rec yard, we get to shooting ball. We eventually get enough people to run a 3-on-3. So it might be like me, Chris, and Black against Bit Dookie and two more people, whoever the other two people was, whoever was out there at the time. Got to the point that me and Chris were, like me, Chris, and Black were undefeated. So every time we go out, we all play together. So now with us winning these games, that's how we end up getting, start liking each other a little bit better, or at least him start liking me. Man, one day we in the dorm. Now this is where I introduce you guys to old tough ass Tony. One day they bring a dude in, look normal, juvenile, young. He look normal like us. They bring him in, cool. So when I first come in the dorm, I'm not scared. I'm nervous and I'm cautious. I'm to myself, and I'm trying to peep the scene. When tough ass Tony come in, he's happy, he's excited, he's trying to get people attention off the rip. He look like he'd been here before, and we in juvenile, so I don't understand it, but he's much more accustomed to this wild lifestyle than I am. So what I remember about him is, I wasn't that fond of him, but it wasn't no problem. You know what I mean? He was, and he said that he was from Memphis. I didn't know about Memphis guys then. I just knew that it was, Tennessee. He claimed in Memphis, Tennessee, said he was a gangster. One day we playing cards, and me and, if I'm not mistaken, me and Chris on teams, we might have been playing spades or something. Me and Chris on teams, somebody else on team, and tough ass Tony, he just watching the game. So whatever happened, maybe I made a mistake. Maybe I made a mistake on the spade table, or something went wrong, and me and Chris got to going back and forth at each other. Like, we supposed to be partners and on the same team, so I'm thinking that, this is okay. Out of nowhere, and not only that, we had, like, we in the county jail, man, we serving time. It's not a lot of time, but it's time. And we hadn't started making money, like Monopoly money. We would cut out a bunch of them, paint them, put 20s, 100s on them, whatever. So when we go down and play spades, we would gamble. Now the mission is to just get all of the money. It's gonna help pass time, and now we can say who the richest. Ain't nobody it don't really help nobody in no kind of way, but it pass time. We down there gambling with the paper dollars one day. Like I said, me and Chris get to going back and forth about a mistake. And Chris, like, he stand up like with the paper dollar, and as we talking, he act like he try to hit me in the face with it, but it's a paper dollar. So it don't come across the table, but it's the motion of it. We arguing, and he stand up and he like, nigga, wow. And the paper just fall in front of my face, but it's the motion. It's four of us sitting here at the table, and this nigga just like come across the table on me, like, you know what I'm saying? So here we go again with this bullshit. When that happened, the nigga Tony kind of chunked me off. He tried to chunk me off, like, nigga say, damn, Chris slap his ass with $1, he get scared. And I'm sitting there wondering, like, where that come from? And I know where it come from. It come from, like, Tony really didn't like me, but he couldn't do nothing about it because, we had already been here, like I said, a year and a half, or however long, and we done formed a bond already. So he can't just come in here picking on me. We gonna whoop that ass. That's how, I ain't bragging on it, but that's how we used to deal with, problems. We whooped that ass. Matter of fact, we did that. I ended up jumping on Tony. We jumped on him. We whooped that ass. And then I helped the Vietnamese boys set Tony up to get that ass whooped. So I probably done jumped on Tony in our whole career, probably about 3 or 4 times. You know what I'm saying? So, and that was before I learned how to fight. He probably don't know it, but that's like, to this day, I still remember that statement. All the hard times I done gave Tony, we talking about 30 years ago. It's from that one statement when he talking about, yeah, Chris slapped his ass with $1 and he got scared. Chris trying to chump me off. Cool. I ain't got no problem with it. So again, like I said, so at this point, without even fighting, I'm feeling like Chris know how to fight. And Black got his back. Black was, like when you get in a setting like that, most times you're going to have some kind of hierarchy. You're going to know who the toughest, who not to mess with, who together, who partners and all that. So Black automatically the biggest and the strongest. He the one you don't want to fight with. And Black and Chris's homeboys, they tight. They done made it known that they jumping for off the rip. So, I don't really want to get into it with Chris because Black gonna jump in it. I know it. This is before we got cool. The reason why I even tell that, so Black would be the toughest. Then it would be Chris. Then it would be, Chuck had already gone, but basically I'm at the bottom. So the reason why that's significant is because in my mind, if these guys are tougher than me, these guys that they've been here, they've been gelling long. When I first came to the dorm, probably at breakfast or after breakfast, I asked him like, bro, how long y'all been here? And I think it was Big Dookie that I asked. He seemed like his name was Glenn. He seemed like a pretty cool dude. I asked him like, hey man, how long you been in here? But Dookie was like 7 months. Man, that hit me like, because when you on the street, you don't measure up the time in months or like that. There's no reason to. You measure up the time in years, next year going to school. So now I'm in here. He said he been here 7 months. I'm trying to weigh that against what I gotta face, and I'm like, dang, you been in this dorm 7 months? Oh, yeah, 7 months. That ain't nothing. He been in here 13. Chuck that just left, he was in here 17. Oh, no. Oh, my God. So I can't believe this. These guys, they here. And basically, I'm finna have to be here, too. So, again, I'm pitting myself against these guys going to prison. If they can go down and make it, then maybe I can. And if they don't make it, then, and they tougher than me, then what chance do I have? We end up getting shipped down to prison. Before I came, when the juveniles came down, they would go from brown stripe, which is 16 and under, and then once they turn 17, they will go across the yard. Across the yard means general population. They would go ahead and, start their time with the rest of the prison. The juveniles were getting picked off. I mean, for the most part, like you coming across, you green, meaning when you green, you don't know a lot. You easy pickings. If it was in the wild, you know what I mean? If the hungry if the buffaloes are trying to cross the river and whatever, and then you got this little weak one trying to keep up, they gon' hone in on you and take you down. You easy picking. So the juveniles were easy work, which is why they created the extended juvenile dorm, the 17-year-old dorm. That's the one that I went to. Now, it only gave you another year. You stayed in there till you would turn 17, and then at 18, you would go across the yard. Same thing, but it gave you another year. The problem was, like I said, the juveniles were going straight from juvenile to straight to population, and they were being victimized. So by the time they made the juvenile, the 17-year-old dorm, a lot of the guys that were that should have been in juvenile, they were still out in population. So they would be coming back. You see what I'm saying? So like, Lil Chris had come back. Lil Chris had come back when I made it to the 17-year-old dorm. Lil Chris was already like across the yard in the dangerous dorms, and whatever was going on. And so that's why when they made the 17-year-old dorm, they had to reclassify them, and they brought them back to where we were. which is how the story that I told y'all before, when they said, you know, when I told y'all the guy told him he couldn't go to war with us, that's how that happened. Because it's like, how could that happen if he was in juvenile with us? Well, the juveniles were in general population at first. They kept being victimized. They put them back in the juvenile dorms. So that's how Lil Chris ended up back down there with us. And by that time, like I said, his reputation was, for the most part, already ruined. And we were feeling bad for him. All right. Y'all know we done been here before. It says, Krista Manning was meatball wham by Mateen Williams. He was held down during the meatball whamming by, I'm not going to say this guy's name or put it out there, because he was actually a guy that I knew and I hung with. Now, I know what you're thinking, but here's the thing. First of all, I did not know that he ever participated in this. And second of all, you gotta, well, you guys probably won't understand because some of you probably never been in this situation, but when you faced with the choice of either being predator or prey, you gonna pick predator. I'm sorry. If it was me, like if I had to either get down with either side, you know, you know what I mean? Especially and especially I was small and fragile, then, you know, I'm trying to save myself. So it's hard to hold that to a person. I know the guy that they say held them down. You know, I don't think that he was and maybe he was, but again, the guy that had him holding him down, Mateen Williams, I've heard about him. You wouldn't want this guy after you. You see what I'm saying? And if you had a chance to get on his good side, you probably would take that chance. Now, you can say what you want, but you ain't never been in that situation. Needless to say, man, Lil Chris was battling some internal issues, and who knows the kind of demons that he was fighting. I've asked everyone who can give me an answer, and they give me the best answers they can. No one know for sure. The closest I got was he had family issues. He had family problems. And like I said, since the day that I've met Chris, I've always known him to have something going on with his family, like some kind of misunderstanding. But I also knew that he went out there and made it his own. He created his own family, and ideally that should be enough to sustain you. But hey, you never know. Like I said, it definitely was pressure. One of my partners actually told me that Chris took himself out by drinking gasoline. He drunk it, poured it in his mouth, and set it on fire. Yeah. Took his own life in that manner, and you know, it's definitely sad. Of course, that would, you know, be a mental issue. So again, is never to glorify, is never to laugh at. None of that right there. There's a big gap from the time that I knew Chris and the time that he took his own life. So I can't say what else he was dealing with or what had piled on. I don't know, but from the things that I know that he went through, you know, that's a lot to deal with, man. You got to be way more than strong. And you know, I know from Chris, from meeting him and knowing him in the beginning, I know that he wasn't no punk or wasn't no pushover. So he definitely didn't consider himself a soft guy or, you know, a punk. And to have to go through, you know, certain things, then, you know what I mean, a person might choose. But anyway, listen, man, I was just thinking about my boy, and I wanted to do him a better video than I did the first time. I want to give you guys more insight. I appreciate it if y'all like, share, subscribe. And I'll see y'all on the next one, man. I appreciate it.